Okay, so I'm here today with Jeff. Jeff is somebody that I worked with this year, who I think really enjoyed the process. But Jeff, I just wanted for you to quickly introduce yourself. Tell us a little about like what you do for like a 9 to 5 and what your family life is like a little bit.
Sure, no problem. I have 3 daughters and a wife. I'm a firefighter and paramedic. So not exactly a 9 to 5. Our schedule's irregular. Um, but busy house, busy work schedule. A lot of obligations, I suppose.
And your wife
Um,
is a nurse, right? Is
my
that right?
wife's a nurse. Yep.
You guys are
Yeah. So
both
we're
full time.
correct. Yep. We're both coming and going, and we're two ships passing in the night a lot of times.
Okay.
Trying to generate some passive income while we're doing it.
Okay,
Working
yeah.
hard to generate our primary income and then trying to generate some passive income.
Right. And you guys, when I first met you too, I remember you sort of talking about how you guys had worked really hard to like save a nest egg, and you did a good job of that. So how did you hear about options trading?
Yeah, that is right. We were at some point in so I'm in my early 40s now. We're both in our early 40s. At some point in my 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
And so that sparked the passive income light bulb in my mind. If you were your reader or if the audience is familiar
Yeah.
with that at all. Um, and for a long time, I was like, all right, so passive income is the goal. How can we get that? And I looked at real estate for a while and never really pulled the trigger on anything concrete. And around the pandemic time, being at work, one of my coworkers mentioned options trading and I think I had heard the term, but really had no clue. And we watched a 1 hour webinar at the station on like a very basic intro to options,
Oh,
and that was a big light bulb. I was like, oh my gosh, I think is that how the big is that how people are making money? Is that how like the big players are doing it? Um,
yeah.
so a couple years, so that really sparked an interest and got some books and watched some videos and a few years of trying to learn. And I probably learned the basics on my own, maybe like I would say 100 level or 200 level, um, of kind of the basics. And then at some point decided that mentorship would be beneficial. I would benefit from some mentorship, and here we are.
So like how did you go about looking for that?
Looking for mentorship.
Yeah, like how did you were you
Yeah,
on
good. I
was
get no.
yeah.
I guess I didn't really for a while. I can figure it out. I can read some books. There's a ton of there's a ton of free content available, right? Like every brokerage firm has a training course and educational videos, and of course YouTube has as much as you want to watch. And there's of course a million books out there. And I think I reached a point where I just sort of plateaued, and many of the some you would see referenced in some books or some people that you would follow online that I figured were experts or appeared to be experts
Sure.
mentioned mentorship. And so that idea grew in my head, and I had recognized that I sort of plateaued. And so I became like more and more open for that. And then it's somehow you stumbled through my algorithm and I saw some of your posts and, just paid attention for, I don't know, a few months.
Okay.
And then, it was funny. I think I had in the summertime or spring, I don't know. I was also trying to day trade a little bit,
Okay.
and I had some losses, and I
Mm,
thought, all right, so clearly I'm not doing this well enough on my own. I'm not meeting my goals.
got
I'm
it.
going to pull the trigger on this mentorship. And I'm a little bit of a skeptic. And so, there's just a face online or there's just some person tweeting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely entered our chat, a little bit, not maybe skeptical is the right word. I just sort of it was a little bit of a leap of faith, but you pretty quickly won me over. I think after the first, I don't know, we chatted for like 30 minutes or something, and I was like, all right, yeah, she's got me. I'll try it.
Do you
Let's make
remember
this
what it
happen.
was at that point in time that might have gotten your attention? Like, was there something that happened? Was there something that really appealed to you, or that at that point in time?
About you, or like mentorship in general, or
Yeah,
options in
like I
general?
would say almost about me. Sorry, we have a Roomba in this room now. My goodness. Okay. Yeah, like did you research other people to learn from first, or was there just something about the feed that made me
Oh
first?
yeah, good
Do you not
question.
remember? It's okay if you don't remember.
I think there were a few things, definitely. I paid for some services like
Hmm.
trading services,
Yeah.
and I paid for a few of those, and some of those had some educational components, and they weren't completely. I learned, I had some takeaways from them, but wasn't getting where I wanted, and they were more like long side kind of buying, day trading.
Mm,
I had it, and I had an awareness that selling was probably like suited me better. Using theta to my advantage probably suited me better, and
right.
I had had some previous success with that, so that was there. And then I think your feed was like reasonable, and you weren't necessarily like braggy or braggadocious, and I think you had one post about women, and you wanted women. You were sort of
I always have been like,
women traders, or like women clients, women
mm.
students, female students. And so that, appealed to me. I have 3 daughters and a wife, of course. I'm very outnumbered in my house.
You are. Yeah.
But so I think that was a few of those things made me, I was like, all right, well, and you had you were like, an hour intro to, I'll tell you a little bit about the system and see if we fit. And that was free. So that was, no skin off my back. It was just an hour of my time.
Right. Yeah,
And
so
that was it.
that's really important, is that what I mentor people on is a system. Like I teach 7 trades, and they all have like 3 or 4 variations to them, right? Like you can modify them as they go along, or choose different entries or exits and things like that. But I'm really keen on, you have a busy life. I have a busy life. I can't spend all day in front of a computer trading, nor do I want to.
Mhm.
Um, so how do you feel? Like, is that pretty true to form from what I've said it is? It doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah, very much. You can spend as much time sitting there as you want. If you like staring at it, you can stare at it, or you can put on some positions and walk away.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
and the time will work for you. Yeah, that's absolutely very accurate.
Okay, so then
I have
like,
found, like, when I look back at your Twitter, if I think about your Twitter feed, or anything there's like no false, nothing
false.
like false. And in our couple, our like our chats or our Zoom sessions, you're like a very genuine, authentic
I want you
person
guys
and
to do
trader, I
well.
think.
I do. That's kind of why I got into it. Like the
Yeah,
idea
that's
of
really nice.
helping you and your family. Like there's people that I really want to help because they have a situation that seems very interesting to me. You have 3 daughters. I'm one of 3 daughters.
Oh, there you go.
So I don't know if I shared that with you before, but
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, so I don't know, that kind of was interesting to me. But there's a lot of people who kind of come on here and they're like, I just want to turn my 1 million into 5. And I'm like, but why? And then they don't have a reason. And that's not
Yeah,
interesting to me, because it's sort of like hard to keep your focus, I think. Like you should get something out of this. So then you're pretty good at this now, but you haven't been doing it that long, really, with the system. You've been doing it, like, did you just say 2 months?
I think that's, yeah, 2 to 3 months probably.
We learned it together first, so that probably took like another 2 or 3 months, do you think? Is that right? About?
Yeah, that's fair. I think I can't. I mean, you might be a better judge. I think I can't. Like I said, I came in with maybe a basic level. I knew some covered calls and cash secured puts. The big jump, and I knew long calls and stuff, but the big jump for me was spreads.
Mm-hmm.
Learning verticals and diagonals were huge and have been a game changer. And since I think I got into that module like 3 months ago or so, 2 or 3 months ago, sometime in August, and
So
that's
when you
when returns have improved.
right, your returns. So let's talk about that then. So like you're 2 months into this. What are your returns like now? Can you give us an idea of a percentage range?
Yeah, it's firmly 3 or 4% a month. I'm averaging like 0.8 or 0.9% a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, if you times that out, by 4 or by 8, that's kind of where I'm at. um, which I'm mostly happy with. I feel like, and I feel like I mean, I had one week that was 1.75%, so that was great. And I've had, my lowest week was last week actually, because I just sort of didn't have a lot of positions on, and that was zero point 0.4. So, I mean, even 0.4%, I guess I didn't do the math on that. So that's zero point 0.4 times 4 would be 16. So it's 1.6 times 12, whatever that is, 15 or 18. That's like 18 or 19% annually. So I was disappointed with 0.4% a week, but that's 18% annually. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at.
No.
So I'm at a point where I'm optimistic. Some weeks like cautiously optimistic. I feel I I need to keep working at it and keep and like prove to myself, I guess, that it's sustainable, although, you're here telling me it's sustainable. So
It is sustainable. So if you're
s-
making 3.5% a month, which was sort of in between the range of 3 and 4, then that's 42% a year.
mhm,
And tell us about your favorite trade then. Which one is that?
mhm.
Because most people have a
The
favorite.
Sure. The verticals were a giant light bulb moment for me. I remember reading and hearing sort of commenters or people would say, if you were talking about covered calls or cash secured puts, that's great, but there's a little bit of a ceiling on those trades, depending on just sort of averaged out over the year. And I remember multiple posts saying, like, when you learn spreads, essentially, like, when you learn spreads, come and talk to me, kind of thing, because when you learn spreads, you can really accelerate your earnings. So my favorite is the, I guess, to be bull credit spreads. No, I'm sorry, a bear call spread is maybe what we think of it.
Mm.
And diagonal bear call
Yeah,
spread.
diagonal spreads. Because diagonal
Diagonal spreads,
can
yeah.
be, we can use them in either a bullish or bearish way. It doesn't really matter, which is one of the things where you're saying to me, you like those trades a lot. And you keep asking me in the last two meetings that we had that were a part of the mentorship program was, is this real? This seems too good to be true. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, it's real. And you can trade up or down, and it doesn't matter which way the stock market goes or which way your stock holdings go if you're trading diagonal spreads, because either way you can profit. So, I mean, that's sort of like, that's one of the big light bulb moments for me as an options trader, being like, wow, this is sustainable. Like, even in a bear market, I can still do super well if I
Yeah.
move over to that trade. And I think you've had sort of the same observation. I think your other observation that you made in a group was that the risk profile for that seems super low, right?
Sure. The return on risk is greater, certainly greater than anything I've come across. It's greater than covered calls or cash secured puts. The collateral that your account needs to, you have to account for in your account is very low, depending on your spreads the strike prices of your spreads that you put on. So you can potentially keep a lot of cash on the sidelines if you wanted to,
Yes, you
and put on some of these spread positions and
can.
still have great returns. So um, I have beat the market every week for the last, I guess, 8 to 10 weeks, which is really interesting. Even on some of these weeks have been really great for the S&P or for the Qs,
Right.
and I've still
It
beaten it.
happens.
And then in a few of them that were just average weeks or down weeks, I've outperformed that as well. I haven't had a losing week. My, the kind of P&L graph, right, that you can come up with was all over the place with my day trading, and some was up and some was down, and it's just been a consistent um, moving up. I'm not sure if I'm doing the hands right, if it's this way
I
or
don't
that
know.
way on this.
I think it goes up.
Yeah,
But
sorry, but it's moving in the right direction, which is
so I'm
which is
hearing you're
just great to
making
see.
money consistently and it's not taking you much time.
Correct.
Awesome.
That's
That's
right. I'm grateful and happy to have arrived at this place. My wife and I are having, real conversations about our future, about how much money we want to deploy. Do we want to move money around? What can we project for the next 1 to 5 years?
Mhm.
How will it, you know, what we're not making any giant changes now, of course, but we're optimistic that we can be in a different place in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, you take kind of
And
slow
and
around when you feel comfortable. Yeah.
yeah, and provide some different options for our daughters, which was really the primary, like the biggest reason to want to grow our wealth and create this passive income. One, so we can be here and be present with our kids and give them a pleasant, peaceful childhood, but also have the financial resources to give them what they need and want and have some fun experiences. So
Yeah, because they're not going to be with you forever, right? I mean, they're going to go
yeah.
out when they're 18, and wouldn't it be great to like be able to go on vacations with them and stuff? So is there something in your life in the future, like 10, 15 years out, or anything like that, that you feel like is now possible that might have seemed out of reach before? Have you
Yeah,
thought?
we will definitely, it's fun to project.
Yeah.
You can go a little crazy with some of the projections. And
Okay.
actually, in one of the modules, you had a video about the calculators, like online calculators, and that was helpful because I was doing some calculating that was probably more optimistic um, than realistic. So I learned a little bit, and that was just recent. We had some weeks here, or even a few months, where I felt like, all right, cool, I got it, I'm moving on. And I watched that video, I think maybe 2 weeks ago. So that was something I was able to pick up and learn new more recently. But sorry, to get back to your question, was what are we thinking about long term? The ability to for my wife to work less sooner,
Yeah.
which is huge. Our jobs are very gratifying but challenging, and it would be nice to have the freedom and the flexibility to choose how much we want to work instead of
Right.
feeling like we have to work.
Mm-hmm.
College, making college easy for our daughter, making it not a stressful event, hopefully a financial event for us, hopefully, sending our daughters to college, which was not something afforded to us. Being able to give them some better opportunities than we had
Yeah.
is the primary goal. And yeah, I guess, balance all the things, right? You want to pay off your house, but you also want to work less. You don't want to work yourself to death to pay off your house. You want to take some trips, and you want to enjoy yourself, but not have to work yourself into the ground. So
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because one of the things that I've noticed is that as I've gotten more financial freedom is that it happens sort of organically. Like I didn't realize that my son would need me so much more when he was 18 than when he was 10. Because now I've got
oh,
to go on these like college trips to visit colleges with him, and it's like a week, 2-day commitment. And I'm like, wow, I can just take this time off now when before I couldn't have. So it's just very interesting how like your family dynamics change. And when they do, it doesn't, it just comes so naturally that you've set yourself up for the success to be able to just kind of like go and do that with them. Because it's hard to predict. I know like my kid's 18, your kids are, I don't know how old they are, but you've got 3 of them. So that's a lot,
yeah.
but more than I have, but you guys are busy, and it will just give you so much more time freedom, and it's really great. So so then I'm dying to ask then, are you planning on teaching this to your daughters when they get older?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's one of the, you want, like, even being able to, financial independence is such a luxury. Like, we can't even fathom what a
Yeah.
luxury it is to even be able to have this thought in my
Mhm.
mind, or like semi plan for that for ourselves, or certainly for them, is, a minuscule percentage of humans are able to even
Mhm.
consider that, right? Like, most people are hand to mouth, both throughout history and even current day.
Mhm.
So I know that we are very fortunate to have, been born in the time we are, and have the jobs we have and have some stability. So we're very lucky. Yes, I want them to have I want them to be able to make choices. Let me try to say that more clearly. I want them to be able to make choices for themselves, how much they want to work, where they want to work, when they want to work. That would really be best case. I don't know if we'll get like all the way there. You know what I mean? I don't think we'll be, um, millionaires multiple times over or anything. We're not projecting that just yet, but certainly they should be in a better spot than we are. And if I can teach them how to passively make money for themselves while they're in college, or while they're figuring out what they want to do in their 20s, or while they're having children and they don't want to work full time, they want to work part time. I hope having multiple revenue streams throughout their life gives people the flexibility and freedom to make choices that benefit them and their families more than, oh, I just got to go to work. Most people just have to get up and go to work every day. They don't really have the option to.
It's a mindset shift too, because they get if you start introducing this to them when they're 18, or start talking to them about it when they're 16, I think that a lot of people think, oh, well, your kids are just options trade. I have an 18-year-old who's learning how to options trade. And people are saying, oh, he just pulled $200 out of his account anytime from cover calling Amazon, and he can, but what it has done for him is not the thing where it's made him lazy. It's actually made him go like, I want to work so I can save money to put more in that account, because that's how I'm going to get wealthy. I can see how I'm spending 12 hours at Target and I'm making $98, and I'm spending 1 minute trading Amazon and making $200. So what that does is, for him, he's so frugal. It's crazy for a kid that makes money options trading. But he just wants to build that account and set himself up better for later. So it kind of does the opposite of what people think it will do in a lot of children. I mean, I think my kids are growing up with a different mindset, one that was very different than what I grew up with, which is that your money can make you money. Yeah. And again, they have a very abundant mindset, because they're like, I can do this. I can handle this. I have this skill set, and they own it for life, which is incredible as well. Sure. I guess my last question for you is, do you think that anybody that wants to learn this can learn it?
Oh, good question. Anybody?
For me, do you think if they wanted to learn it,
yes,
they could figure it out? Yeah.
Yes, if somebody wants to, if it's a passion of whatever the passion is, or like whatever the why is. So if the why is you want passive income, if the why or passion is you're interested in the markets and you're kind of paying attention to the markets anyway. Yes, it is learnable. It's not rocket science. No one would accuse. I have a degree, but no one would accuse me as a firefighter and paramedic as a rocket scientist. That's for sure. So yes, it's very learnable. You do, but there's a lot to it, and you have to build one thing on top of the other. It's sort of like building the pyramid. I think you have to start from the ground up and move up. You can't really skip steps. I think, and the steps will build upon themselves. The types of trades and strategies will build upon themselves. So if you don't understand covered calls, but you want to start with spreads, I think it's going to be, personally, I think it's
catastrophic.
You're going to have a rougher time. Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, absolutely. Anybody can learn it that wants to. And it's very rewarding, and to me, kind of fun. I am so, I'm so happy. I mean, I'm interested in the markets anyway, but I'm like proud to be able to sit at the computer. Maybe proud is not the right word, but I'm excited and happy to be able to sit at the computer and type a few buttons and watch some things and do some math in my head and make some dollars for my family. My kids will ask, they'll see me, they'll have, I'll have my brokerage account up and I'll be looking at things, and they'll ask, what are you doing? My oldest is 10 now. This was a year or two ago. And I had the options chain up. And I told her, I'm just making some money. And I showed her, I thought it'd be cool to show her, like, look, when I click this, the account value is going to go up by $100 or something like that. I thought I was really, really flexing, showing her how cool I was that I could make $100, like pushing a button. And anyway, my other daughter came in and said, Dad, what are you doing? And my oldest said, Dad is shopping for money.
I love it.
That's how, that was her explanation of what was going on the screen. She was like, so what do all those numbers mean? And I was like, well, they mean, I explained a little bit. And she was like, yeah, so you're just like shopping for money. You just push buttons and money shows up in your account.
Yep. That's
I guess kind of, sweetie. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, this was so great to be able to talk with you and connect with you this way. Some of the stuff I haven't heard before, so it was very helpful to me. And yeah, thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you. I hope that was beneficial, but thank you. I really, really owe a lot to you, and I do appreciate you taking the time to create the course and the modules, because that is time, right? I'm sure that was a ton of work.
It was like months of my life.
I'm sure, yeah. But I mean, I think it has helped and will help my family tremendously. So I really appreciate it.
I mean, that makes me feel so great. I feel like I'm just creating better karma in the world. So that's also been my goal. So you make me happy today. All right, Jeff, thanks so much for your time.
Of course. Thanks.